Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name's Tash at Wholeheartedly Tash, and I'm a holistic health coach and breathwork facilitator, helping women regain their periods that have hypothalamic amenorrhea. Today I want to talk about binge eating and extreme hunger in HA period recovery in particular, and hopefully you'll be able to see the difference between the two. So first of all, what is binge eating? So binge eating is when you're consuming a large quantity of food very quickly to the point where you feel really uncomfortable and there's a lot of guilt there and shame. It's very common to overeat every now and then, but people use the term binging or, oh, I binged out on this last night in the wrong way and using it in the wrong term, when actually it is a disorder and it can make you feel really uncomfortable and like you're really out of control. To be considered binge eating, it needs to kind of occur one day a week for around 3 months. And also what we typically find is people eating in secret because of the shame around that. So binge eating episodes are usually associated with 3 out of the following. So the first would be you're eating really fast. Then the second is you're eating when you're feeling really uncomfortable, so past fullness. The third is eating large amounts of food when you're not actually physically hungry. Fourth is eating alone, so there might be some shame around eating and you feel like you need to eat alone because you're embarrassed. And the fifth is having that guilt come over you after overeating. So one criteria of binge eating disorder says that binge eating is not associated with the regular use of inappropriate compensatory behaviors such as purging, fasting, excessive exercise, and it does not occur exclusively during the course of anorexia or bulimia. So this means that if you are recovering from anorexia, bulimia, then you can't have binge eating disorder because you've restricted and you've compensated those calories. So it's not considered binge eating. So when you are seeing those types of behaviors happen and you have come from a restrictive background, then you're actually experiencing extreme hunger that we will go into later on. So let's go into the main common causes of binge eating. The first one being restriction, which is the main one that we see. So you restricted through the day, so your body kind of needs to make up for it. It feels like it's in famine, so it's giving you those cues to eat and eat and eat and eat. The next one is anxiety or stress, because food can be like the cure and numb us from our emotions. The next one's loneliness, finding company in eating and having that food. And the last one is tiredness, which means your hunger cues can go a bit skew-whiff. Another few things that could be looked at is family separation, self-punishment, and if there's a high intake of alcohol in the family, then these could all also be linked to binge eating. So in the Minnesota experiment that a lot of people talk about, that you've probably heard about, is where 36 men took part, and for 6 months they were at a semi-starvation mode of around 1,570 calories a day. So they noticed that their strength decreased, their stamina, their body temperature, their heart rate, their sex drive. They became obsessed with food, depressed, anxious, all these kind of things that we experience as well when we are underfeeding ourselves. Then, and we also see this also with hypothalamic amenorrhea. During the refeeding stage, they would binge and they just couldn't understand their hunger signals because they were all out of whack. And this just basically shows and indicates that starvation, restriction leads to binge. So for HA in particular, which is where my area of expertise lies with hypothalamic amenorrhea, you really need to honor all the hunger cues, your mental hunger cues, your physical hunger cues. Sometimes it is hard to recognize your hunger cues if they've been out of whack because you've ignored them for so long. Basically the signals become unreliable, but just keep on eating, keep following a scheduled eating plan, and the signals will turn back on. When we know that we can eat whatever food we like, whenever we like, we take that food off the pedestal, and it just basically means that food doesn't have control over us anymore. Another big tip for overcoming binge eating and also helping with hypothalamic amenorrhea is don't allow yourself to become ravenous. So don't really starve yourself through the day and feel absolutely blimmin' hungry, because that will not help. You need to be eating regularly and eating often, because otherwise when you do come to food, you do just feel a bit uncontrollable with that food because you have been starving yourself for so long. So what's the difference between binge eating and extreme hunger? So binge eating is an actual disorder and it can make you feel really out of control, although extreme hunger you can feel out of control with as well. But extreme hunger is actually the result of restricting, having those restrictive behaviors. It's a way for your body to find balance. And with extreme hunger, you can feel physically hungry, but also mentally hungry. And it can happen to anyone of any size, BMI. It can literally happen to anyone. You don't need to be underweight in order to have extreme hunger. You just need to have had some kind of restrictive tendency, diet, undereating in some form. Sometimes you might think, well, I can't be having extreme hunger because I didn't undereat loads or restrict loads, because I was in that boat when I lost my period and kind of figured out myself that it was hypothalamic amenorrhea. I was eating more than my friends, and even sometimes more than my partner. Like, I wasn't eating a very, very small amount, but yeah, I still had this energy imbalance. I was going to the gym and I still had an energy imbalance. I still was in a smaller frame that my body was comfortable in. So I did feel extreme hunger when I allowed myself to eat everything, and I did have some restrictive, rigid mindset around food. So when I broke all that down, I felt extreme hunger, like I could eat and eat and eat. I literally just ate, and then 20 minutes later, I just want to eat. But I honored that every single time, and it went slowly away. With binge eating, it's not usually that you feel super, super hungry. Usually it's the dopamine hit that you get with food and with eating. Whereas extreme hunger, you actually can feel really hungry, even if you've just eaten. So hopefully this gives you some information on binge eating and extreme hunger in relation to hypothalamic amenorrhea period recovery. If you need help with regaining your period back, or you want some tips or guidance, or even if you feel like you would really benefit from one-on-one coaching, then please follow me over on Instagram at whole.heartly.tash. And I'll see you on the next video.